There's a big story coming out on Elliot Anderson that could shift Manchester United's midfield transfer plans. But of course, we don't even know who our next manager is going to be. So while Manchester United do have midfield transfers planned, I guess we can't officially plan anything until we know who the next manager is and what they approve of. We're going to talk about Tonali. We're going to talk about who United number one transfer target may be, as Elliot Anderson deal is now being reported as done behind the scenes to City. They're not announcing it yet. They're not finalising it yet, but it's seen as maybe internally done. We're going to get into the news on that. Is it reliable? Is this news true? Break it all down. We've got some updates on the left wing situation, and then I want to speak about Michael Carrick's comments after the game and what Michael Carrick himself has actually had to say on the match versus Newcastle. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup show, where I'm going to round up all the latest Manchester United news into a 10-minute video for you guys. We'll start with the manager news, and then we're going to get into the midfield news and these reports that Elliot Anderson is a done deal. A done deal to Manchester City. Manchester 115 charges, get rid of them. So let's get into this story. So Ben Jacobs was on the United stand today giving a transfer update. And while Ben Jacobs had a fantastic summer, I do think he's lost a little bit of credit in the bank recently. He's been saying a lot recently and not really much has happened. But I do think he is a good source of information and journalist. Now he's saying Ancelotti and Tuchel are currently not in the race for the Man United job, which we kind of know because both of them have signed new deals with Brazil and England and are expected to stay beyond the World Cup. The names currently being discussed are Roberto De Zerbi, Julian Nagelsmann, and Roberto Martinez. No to Roberto Martinez. De Zerbi's a walking red flag that will fall out with the dressing room. Nagelsmann I like, but again, how will he do in the Premier League? How will he translate? Mauricio Pochettino and Kieran McKenna are appreciated, but not expected to be front runners. I think it's going to be between Carrick, De Zerbi, and Nagelsmann. I think it'll probably be between Carrick and Nagelsmann. I think Vivel is pushing for Nagelsmann, if I was going to be honest. I did a live stream on that today. I think it depends what happens with Carrick between now and the end of the season. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who the next manager is if we don't give them a proper midfield. We saw how Joelinton and Tonali absolutely bossed the midfield yesterday. They ran us ragged. And while I like Casemiro and while I like Maino and Bruno, and I think that's a really good midfield three, there's certain games where we struggle, and that's when the midfield we come up against is more physical. They push harder, they run faster, they can physically bully us. And we definitely need a few midfield signings, someone that's physical, someone that can deal with the demands of the Premier League, win back the ball. And the kind of perfect midfielder I would describe that we need is Elliot Anderson. I think he's exactly what we need in midfield. I think he's the perfect midfielder, but this is the problem. Graham Bailey said, I have to be honest, for several weeks now, from numerous sources, I am told that Elliot Anderson to Manchester City is a done deal. While City and Forest are not confirming anything, I think that whilst nothing is signed, Anderson knows that he'll be playing there next season, will be at the Etihad. Graham Bailey isn't the best source of information, so I would take everything he says with a pinch of salt. However, I think sometimes you can kind of know a deal is done without anything being signed. You can kind of know that it's happening. We sort of knew for a while we were getting Cunha, that he wanted us, but we never got the here we go for ages. We kind of knew for a while we were going to get Mbeumo as long as we could agree a fee with Brentford, and it happened after a while. Sometimes you can know a player's going to join you without anything being done. I don't think anything is officially done between Anderson and Forest, but I think it's a situation of Anderson and City, that Anderson's probably given the green light to City. City have probably got a rough indication from Forest of what the price will be, and City are probably willing to pay that price. I think it's been pretty obvious that Anderson prefers City to United. He's been following City on Insta and that. There's rumours that Anderson's been telling relatives he's probably going to join Man City next season. I think if you was to ask Elliot Anderson and he could say something, he'd probably tell his close friends he's going to go to City, or he believes he's going to go to City. But it can't be done. You'd know if it was done. But I think it's a situation of, I think there's been verbal conversations behind the scenes and probably verbal agreements, but nothing is confirmed. But it feels like Anderson knows, maybe City know, maybe Forest know that is going to happen. And I've always felt that Anderson was going to go to Manchester City, which is such a blow, because I think if we could have added Semenyo in January, so we'd actually have a left winger, and we could have added Anderson this summer, that would be absolutely amazing. But I've always felt that Anderson was going to go to Manchester City. But the problem was that Anderson is our number one midfield target. This has been said by Andy Mitten, Athletic, and many people. Anderson is the dream. Baleba was obviously the number one target under Amarin. He was Amarin's number one, but we sort of switched this season with Baleba's drop in form over to Anderson. Anderson's been the number one target. We know that United want to sign one big Prem proven star to replace Casemiro. And I think without it being Anderson, Man United will now look at Tonali and Baleba. Baleba, who's out of form, Tonali, who wants to go to Italy. So it's not going to be easy. There's obviously talk of Wharton and Stiller, but they are more number 8s. So that brings us into Sandro Tonali. I think if we can't get Elliot Anderson, I think we'll go all out for Sandro Tonali, but we'll be competing with Italian clubs and Arsenal. Now, Italian clubs might not be able to afford Tonali, which gives us an advantage, as Ben Jacobs has said here. Manchester United like Sandro Tonali, but the midfielder's dream move is to return to Italy. The question is, however, can any Italian clubs afford Tonali, which could lead Manchester United to enter the race? My dream, if we can't get Anderson, is Tonali. I don't think we're going to get Tonali. I don't think we're going to get Tonali or Anderson. I would love to get one of Tonali or Anderson as the first midfielder to replace Casemiro, João Gomez as the second midfielder to replace Agate, and Matheus Fernandes as the third midfielder that can come in and start potentially over Meno in certain games as well. I would get Tonali or Anderson. I'd get Matheus Fernandes and João Gomez because I think of Bruno Fernandes, Kobbie Meno, Tonali, Matheus Fernandes, João Gomez, midfield 5 is good options to have. We can't just sell Casemiro and Agate and bring in 2 new midfielders because we're a midfielder short already and we're going to be in Europe next season, touch wood. We need to bring in 3 new midfielders if we sell 2, 4 new midfielders if we sell 3, 2 new midfielders if we sell 1. We need a bare minimum of 2 midfielders. The only way I could accept Man United signing 2 midfielders and not a third is if those 2 midfielders were Tonali Anderson. But we need 3 or 4 midfielders, plus a left wing and a left back, obviously. And Tonali, for me, he was unbelievable yesterday. He is a phenomenal player, Sandro Tonali. He is, for me, the dream signing. I think he's ridiculously good. I don't even think he's been at his best this season. I think he's technically good. I think he can cover the ground. He brings that physical side that we need. I would love Sandro Tonali. I would happily give Newcastle 80, 90 million for him. I just don't know if Tonali wants to come to Man United. We have Paul, but we've seen with Semenyo, he's picked City over us. We've seen with Anderson, he's picked City over us. 5-6 years ago, we might have beaten City to them, but because we've not won anything proper for 10 plus years, teams are starting to choose City over us, which is the annoying situation. Continuing on, because it's not just midfielders we need, but we do need a left winger. Romano said that United scouts have followed Yan Diamonde's progression in person on several occasions. He's one of the names under consideration. We've been linked to Yan Diamonde many times. We've been said that scouts are watching him many times. That is it. Every time there's news about Yan Diamonde, it's like, oh, Man United like him. We've not made a move for him. Nothing's happening as of yet. There's many players that we like, and Yan Diamonde is one of them. There's many teams that like Yan Diamonde, but there's just nothing new. Yan Diamonde is one to watch. Karim Adeyemi is stalling on signing a new deal at Dortmund as he wants to join the Prem as well. Look, I don't really want to touch Bundesliga wingers. I've watched Diamonde this season. I can see why a lot of clubs are in for him. I can see why he's impressive. I quite like what I've seen from Diamonde in the Bundesliga, in the Champions League. But I personally... Sorry, I meant AFCON, not Champions League. Leipzig aren't in it. I've liked what I've seen from Yan Diamonde when I've watched very little of him in the Bundesliga. When I've watched AFCON, I've liked what I've seen from Yan Diamonde. Adeyemi, again, decent player. I would rather get a Prem-proven winger than a Bundesliga winger, if you know what I mean. I just feel like Bundesliga wingers have been such a risk, but I can see why a lot of people like Yan Diamonde. I want to talk about the Newcastle game and Carrick's comments to end up today's video. This is just a 10-minute roundup, by the way, and if you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button, and you're welcome to subscribe if you're new, because every day I do a 10-minute roundup video. But yeah, Carrick was asked what was missing, and he just said, you know what, you got to give the quality and the credit to Newcastle. They deserve to win tonight. He said, it hurts me to say it, but that's how it was. Newcastle were the better team. We lost the match. We didn't play well enough, but overall we're in a decent position. Carrick says, tonight hurts. We don't like losing games, but we'll do better next time. And I think it's true. Tonight hurts. We didn't deserve to win. One of those games. It's now about how we respond and showing we can do better next time. We've still got a good team. We've still got good players. Tonight wasn't our day. We didn't play well. It's basically what Carrick's saying. But, now it's time to respond versus Villa. If we go and put in a good 3-0 win versus Villa, or a dominant win versus Villa and a good performance, I think this game can be forgotten about. It's just annoying, I think, the fact that they didn't have Bruno Guimaraes. They were down to 10 men, and we still couldn't take advantage of that and win, which is very disappointing. But listen, people, I want to thank everyone for tuning into today's 10-minute show. I will be back tomorrow morning with a live stream. See you next time. Bye.